all the stuff and the technological advancements and the technology and tools that we've got, it just keeps getting easier and easier and easier. And now we've got a workforce of people who have traditionally worked in offices, and these people are all now working from home. So there's also this incredible resource pool of talent if we ever need to hire someone as well who can just slot right in. So it's really exciting.
You're listening to The Growth Booth, the show focused on achieving lifestyle freedom through online businesses. Whether you're looking for step-by-step strategies to start building an online business, simple game plans to grow your business, or proven lifestyle freedom frameworks, you are in the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join the thousands of listeners already in growth mode.
Aidan Booth here. Welcome to episode number 80 of The Growth Booth, where today I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Scott Ferrigan. He's someone who I've known for about 5-6 years, maybe online now. And this is the third in a series of Decoding Success episodes that I'm filming here at The Growth Booth. In episode number 76, I was joined by Ricardo in Portugal, who is crushing it online. In episode number 78, a couple of episodes ago, we had Vaughan in Australia, who's crushing it. And today, Scott is coming in from Michigan in the United States. Now, Scott joined a training program that I put out around about 5 or 6 years ago, and we were teaching in that program how to leverage Amazon, and in particular, Amazon Wholesale. And Scott was the guy that came in, he just grabbed the bull by the horns and he nailed it. And so much so that, he's built a business over the past 5 years that earns him, 6 figures a month at this point. So I'm really excited to have Scott here today. Scott, thanks for taking some time, man. Welcome to the call.
Not a problem, Aidan. Glad to be here.
So maybe you could start out just by sharing a little bit about your background, your journey, and how you wound up building an online business.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it seems like it ends up that it was kind of an evolution where I had kind of always known I wanted to be in business for myself. I had gotten a materials management degree from Michigan State in purchasing and operations and spent about 10 years in corporate purchasing. Just knew I wanted to do something on my own, had kind of been keeping my eye out. Eventually, I settled on a ink refill franchise. So I jumped into that in the end of 2004, beginning of 2005. Started with one. By 2008, I opened a second one up, and things were growing. Everything was great outside of the fact that I was working 70, 80 hours a week, and I was looking for something with a better work-life balance. So I ended up selling that business and found myself after that in the ATM business. So I owned ATMs, and it was another franchise. Mainly we had stuff in high-end hotels, and when I bought that, I started with 8 machines. I bought an existing route, if you will, is what they called them. Built that up to 24 machines. And the time commitment in general wasn't a lot, but it would seem that it was a hard time, again, with the complete work-life balance where I could just have the freedom to be able to, the geographic freedom to do what I wanted to do, because it seemed like, the business in general was really easy because you only have one job, just make sure it doesn't run out of money. But a lot of times the locations would have special events on weekends, so I find myself running to do extra little fills on the weekends, which didn't take a whole bunch of time, but still you couldn't up and say, hey, I'm going to go on vacation for 3 weeks because of just because it would almost like tether you. I guess that was kind of how I felt. I felt like I was tethered to everything. So I was looking around at different things. I ended up finding some information on a dropship business. And I was in the midst of building a dropship business and trying to figure out how to dial in my Facebook ads to get the dropship business really up and going. And the philosophy I have is that there's always people out there that know how to do whatever your struggles are. And rather than try and reinvent the wheel, let's try and find someone who knows, who can show me how to do this. And I stumbled upon one of your older courses where you were showing people how to do white label. And there was this program that was up and coming that had to do with Amazon. And I listened to the presentation and said, yeah, that sounds good. So jumped into that. We bought that. I spent probably 4 or 5 months figuring out, going through the course, going through everything, finding some suppliers, buying products, sending it into Amazon, and seeing essentially proof of concept. And once I had that, then I started moving forward. I believe that if you really want to be successful, you need to focus your efforts, and you can't really focus your efforts and have 4 or 5 different things that you're trying to do, or it seems like, at least for me, it seems like none of them actually end up going to fruition. So I decided I was going to cash out of the ATM business, sell that franchise. My brother and I were talking at the same time, and I could tell he had been with a Snap-on. He was a Snap-on franchisee for like 10 years. And I could tell he wanted to do something different. I told him what I was looking at doing, and he asked me if I wanted a business partner. I said, sure. So he cashed out of his, I cashed out of mine, and we just jumped in and, like you said, took the bull by the horns, and this is what we're going to do. Failure wasn't an option because we both had families to feed, and let's go find suppliers, let's go find products, send it in, and let's make it work. We already had the proof of concept from the course to show that it worked, and all we had to do was scale it up. And roll up your sleeves, get in there and do that.
Man, full credit to you and Brian, your brother, because, this is not some overnight success. This is not like you got lucky. This is clearly a case of making your own luck. You tried a couple of different franchises. You never, quite cracked that code of, lifestyle business that you were trying to get, but you didn't give up. You just kept trying different things until eventually you found something which worked for you and ticked all the boxes, and you doubled down on it. And, how long did it take you when you were starting your Amazon wholesale business until you were actually able to start making money? I mean, are we talking weeks here? Did it take you months? Just to give people some more context around the journey that you went through.
We were profitable by month 2. And then to build it to a point where it was a decent salary, it probably took, I would say, 6 months. But even it would have been quicker than that. But part of that, we throttled ourselves back, and we capped how much we were going to spend and how much product we were going to send in, because we were trying to watch everything as it went through the process with Amazon, so that we understood where all the costs were and how the money flowed from when we were purchasing the product to when we would get the money back, type of thing. So I really think if you understood all of that, if I had someone that had the experience that I had that could have said, hey, this is the way this works, then we would have grown quicker than that, because we started out the first month with like 2,000 in sales. The second month was 10,000, then 15,000, and we held it at 15,000 for 3 months. And then 3 months after that, we were over 50, 60,000. And after we held that 7 months from there, we hit 100,000 for the first time. Right.
It's kind of nice, though, that you could dip your toes in the water and you were sort of testing out the water, seeing what it was like. How does this work? Are there any, hidden, obstacles or anything here, pitfalls that we can fall into? And then once you got comfortable, you just started scaling. And I remember one of the things you did was you stopped relying on just you and your brother, and you hired some help.
Yeah, we hired 4 VAs. Actually, it was by your recommendation, Aiden, when we sat down when we first joined one of the groups there, and we sat down one-to-one, and that was an area that we were struggling with. And so if it's an area that you're struggling with, then, or an area that you don't care to do, then the best thing to do is to just outsource it. So we outsourced the suppliers, which is one of the bigger challenges when you're getting the business up and running, is to have enough suppliers to find enough products. And we went from 40 suppliers, and like 5 weeks later, we had like 110, 112 suppliers. So
that's awesome.
Yes, it was really, really exciting, because then you were able to grow. And like I said, you were able to farm out an area of the business that we really didn't care to do. You know, my brother's kind of the sales guy, and I'm more like the spreadsheet guy and stuff like that, and the numbers guy behind the scenes. So everything just worked.
So you mentioned one other thing, just to give some people some more context and to fill in the gaps there. So Scott is a member of our Blueprint Academy mastermind group. He has been for about 5 or 6 years now. And I can still remember when, we would get on a one-on-one call and we were talking about, what could you do? And just saying, look, you guys are in a strong position. You could be in a much stronger position if you could, pass some of this on to other people. And what does it look like now? How many, do you still have the 4 people with you?
Actually, as we built up, we ended up, I like to call it kind of turning left. And so we had built the business up, and the business was very wide in the breadth of products that we offered. And we, through path of least resistance, I guess is the easiest way to say it, we kind of shifted our focus and went laser thin on a particular niche. Instead of going out to a whole bunch of different categories and selling anything from, I don't know, fishing lures to, what's some stuff we sold? Some UV clothing to hunting sites to, I don't know, all sorts of things. I think at one point we were selling a walking stick that would measure distances to the.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we were very, very late. Oh, we were selling hot sauce at one point for like barbecue and stuff like that. So it was very wide in what we were selling, and we ended up focusing very, very focused in the niche that we're in, and leveraged a lot of my brother's knowledge from what he had been doing in relationships with suppliers. And so we focus now on like 3 different brands is what we sell. I mean, they're all established brands. But we focus and we stay right in those brands, and we'll branch out by rolling another brand in, or we're also really excited. We are starting our first white label product. It is on its way to Amazon right now. So got a couple of products in that product line that we're getting ready to launch, hopefully by the end of this month. They shipped
that's awesome.
about 6 weeks ago. I don't know exactly how long it takes to get here and everything, but that's what we do.
This episode is brought to you by Cartsy. Cartsy is an all-in-one e-commerce shopping platform that can help you build an e-commerce business in record time. It provides you with all the bells and whistles that you need to get started selling your own products online, and it's incredibly easy to use, built for newbies who want to grow an online business without all the hassles and headaches that come with other shopping platforms. If you'd like to learn more about Cartsy and take advantage of a special offer that we've set up, and I can do that because I'm actually the owner of Cartsy, then head over to thegrowthbooth.com/Cartsy. That's spelled C-A-R-T-Z-Y. That's thegrowthbooth.com/Cartsy, and get more information about how we can help you build an e-commerce business and how you can unlock the power of Cartsy today. Now back over to the episode.
Has that laser focusing in on a few different brands or a few different sort of sets of products, has that meant that you've been able to use fewer virtual assistants and have less support there?
Yes. We're able to, it leverages a couple of different things. By having fewer VAs and it being primarily just us, we're able to focus in on instead of dealing with 100 suppliers, we deal with a lot smaller base of suppliers. And as a result, we are a more important customer to each of those suppliers.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point that they'll reach out to us because of the volume that we buy from them and say, hey, we noticed you haven't bought as much. We're going to put this package of stuff together for you. And how does this look? And they're coming to us saying, hey, is something going on if we haven't placed enough? Because their growth, it's all based on all of that. One of the sales guys, I mean, all of his bonuses are based on what he's been doing over the last
He's like an employee for you, basically.
Yes.
He's like your man now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, one thing that comes to mind when you're talking about laser focusing in is, first of all, the 80-20 rule, where if you imagine you have 100 suppliers to begin with, or 100 products, whatever it might be, 20 of them make up 80% of the revenue. But you can dial that down even more, and there's the 64-4 rule, where 4 of the 100 products make 64% or 2/3 of the amount of profits or revenue that's coming in. And I think that's what you've applied. I was just going to say something that I should have had us touch on right at the very beginning here, but it's sort of like second nature to us, so I didn't go there. But maybe you could give a very, very high level overview of what we mean when we're talking about Amazon wholesale, because there might be someone listening to this who sounds really is interested in what we're saying, but they haven't quite got that dialed in. So when you're explaining Amazon wholesale to someone who doesn't know what it is, how do you explain that at a very high level?
Okay, so if you're going to sell on Amazon, you can sell a variety of ways. Either you can do what would be called either online or retail arbitrage, which is where you would be either via online or maybe going to your local, we'll just pick Walmart for like Walmart or Costco, looking for their clearance items and then looking to see if they're selling for more on Amazon, and then you could turn around and send them in, and you can kind of build a business that way. Or you can create your own brand and sell basically private labels. So if you wanted to sell...
You want to sell drink bottle, and we also refer to this as white label. White label or private label, it's the same thing.
So you can do that, and the upfront costs with white label are a little more because you're going to invest in quite a bit of inventory to get it launched. And then the final way is what we do, which is Amazon Wholesale, which is selling branded products through official distributors. So we're an official retailer for the products that I have. We buy from master distributors, and the advantage with that is that there are a lot of metrics and things available through Amazon. So when you're getting ready to buy a product, you can look it up prior. You can look up to see, what your cost is, what the Amazon fees are, because there's calculators that Amazon provides. So if you're going to be making money. And then B, there are other metrics that will explain to you how quickly it sells. So if it sells 100 a month or if it sells 1,000 a month. So if it sells 50 or 100 a month, then maybe you're going to send in 10 or 15 units. If it sells 50 a month, you're not going to send 200 in because you don't want to be sitting on inventory for 4 months. But if it sells 5,000 a month, then it might not be that big of a deal. After you've tested it, maybe you send 10 or 15 in, make sure that everything's selling the way you want, and then it's not that big of a deal that you want to grab 200 or 300 sales out of something that sells 5,000 a month. And so you don't have that with the white label where you're creating your own brand. I mean, you can come in and kind of see the metrics of your competitors so you know what the sales potential is, but it's a little different when it's the exact product and you're selling a swing line stapler, and that the blue and white swing line staplers sell 1,000 a month, so you can send 200 in, and you're fairly confident that at the price that it's been selling at, and you've got metrics so you can see selling history of how much it has been selling for. And if everything makes sense, as long as you're competitively priced, you're going to be able to sell the product, make profit, turn around, buy more product, and send it in.
Yeah. The thing that I've always loved about the Amazon wholesale model is you can come in and piggyback on what someone else is doing. There's already a listing on Amazon. You don't have to create your own listing. You can get started for very small inventory purchase relative to what you would need to do for Amazon white label, and you don't need to mess around with going into Walmart and trying to buy the things that are on sale and send them in. It's much more streamlined and sort of almost like serious business than that.
Yes, it is. Yes, and when you're going to Walmart and stuff like that, you run into the issue that you buy a Disney product or maybe a Barbie product, and all of a sudden you go to send it in, and they're like, "Yeah, are you authorized to sell Disney? Well, give us a receipt."
Right.
And a Walmart receipt isn't going to cut the mustard. But if you have a receipt from a toy distributor, because we sold all that kind of stuff too. I mean, we sold Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff, Barbie stuff, Hot Wheels stuff, all kinds of other things like that. And when you're dealing with an actual manufacturer's rep or wholesaler, then everything just flies through, and then you're approved, and someone else who isn't is trying to now figure out, are they going to take that product that they bought at Walmart and sell it on eBay, or what are they going to do?
Exactly. Yeah. Can you remember a moment when you and your brother realized, oh, wow, this is actually going to work. We're going to be able to build a big business out of this. Is there a moment that you've got sort of burned into your memory there?
I would say that it was fairly early on when we were looking at things. I mean, you get excited when you're seeing some of the metrics and everything, but when they come in there, I'm going to say it was the second month, and we were at a family gathering together, and both of us have our phone because you can log into your Amazon on your phone, and it was the first day that we cleared $1,000 in sales, and we were both just on cloud nine, and that was kind of the moment that you knew. I mean, we both did have the advantage that we had built up other businesses from scratch. So that first business that you build up, as soon as you get to the point that you have that aha moment, then building the second and the third and the fourth is a lot easier because you end up having the confidence in yourself. Because a lot of times I think that's where people's biggest barrier is not having the confidence in themselves, even though you've got the system.
Totally.
You just have to work the system and do everything. But yeah, I remember us being just over the moon that we had our first $1,000 day.
Everyone at the family gathering would have been like, what a Scott and Brian got. Give me some of that good stuff that they've got going on there. They're looking pretty happy with themselves.
Yep. Well, and it's funny when you go back and look at it too, because like I'd be like, man, what a crappy day in sales today if we had $1,000 in sales,
right?
Instead of it's funny how your
perspective changes. Everything changes everything. And also with that, to your point, it changes your mindset, because I know that if something happened and you had to start this business again, there'd be no shadow of doubt in your mind. You'd just be getting into it, and you'd probably be saying, look, okay, here's a 12-month plan. In 6 months, I want to be doing this. In 9 months, I want to be doing this. And you just make it happen because you've been there and done that. And the only real difference, I mean, experience is a big one, but it's also the mindset. You're not haggling over, is this going to work? You know it's going to work. You're just getting in there and doing it.
Actually, we ran into that at the beginning of COVID. Because at the beginning of COVID, Amazon at one point, if you weren't sending in toilet paper or hand sanitizer or anything that was like that, they didn't want you to send anything in. And so at one point, we had products sitting at our warehouse, and Amazon said, and now it didn't last that long. It was only 6 or 7 weeks, but Amazon wouldn't let us send it in. So we shifted gears with actually another course that you had out to the public, and it was a drop shipping course. And so we developed a website, and we sold exercise equipment and forehead thermometers is what we were selling. Right. Also, in addition to that, and you just shift gears and say, all right, this isn't going to work for right now. Let's just jump into that. We'll do that. And that was good for a holdover. Another thing that's really, really reduces a lot of stress and a lot of headaches with an Amazon wholesale business is as long as you're selling Prime when you're doing that, which is what we are. We're Amazon Prime sellers. And that means that Amazon takes care of all of the, that you're able to piggyback on their shipping, so that reduces your inbound shipping costs. They take care of all the customer service, all of the returns, and everything. So you have very little, you touch the product very little because it goes to your warehouse and then they take care of it and send it in. And you have very little interaction with any of the customers too, because Amazon handles all the customer service. It's rare that you touch a product, rare that you talk to the customers. And the dropship business was one of the things that we didn't care for as much, because you'd have customers asking you questions. Now, you can't ignore them. You have to, because you need to make the sale and you need to do all of that. But that was an advantage with the Amazon wholesale is not having that side of things that you have to concern yourself with.
Do you remember what you paid for your franchise businesses? Like ballpark. I don't know what an ATM franchise business would cost.
The Inc. franchise, the franchise fee was like $40,000, $40,000. The ATM franchise fee was like $26,000. But then in addition to that, for just 8 ATMs, and this is back in, what year is it now? This was back almost 10 years ago, almost a decade. I needed to have the cash to put in there, which was another $40,000 to put in there to be able to cycle through the machines, because the bank won't loan you money if you're going to be putting it in an ATM. They won't do that.
The reason I ask that is because for me, it's kind of mind-boggling when I think about the costs of setting up like an offline business as opposed to an online business. Like an online business like this, I mean, you can get started for hundreds of dollars at the most, maybe a couple of $1,000 kind of a thing. And then you start thinking about the return on investment and the scalability. And
you can scale so quickly too. Yes, the scalability is just off the charts how quickly you can scale. It's hard, if you have a brick and mortar business, you're constrained by the space. When I had the Inc. franchise, it was a 1,500 square foot space. We can only produce and refill so many ink cartridges and laser cartridges and stuff like that. And then with the ATM business, it was getting the contracts and everything. And then you were hindered by having enough cash to be able to put in the machines. Whereas with an online business, it's almost limitless. You can just scale and just go and go and go. And then it becomes, at what point are you comfortable with your lifestyle that you put effort into growing it, but maybe you're not working 50, 60, 70 hours a week trying to grow it, because you want the balance of spending the time with your family and being able to do the things that you want to do. And having the geographic freedom is amazing. A couple of years ago, I decided I wanted to go try living in Texas. So I sold my house, unplugged my computer, took all my stuff down to Texas, plugged it in, and then I was back in business, and you just run the business from there. And it wasn't like you had to go buy another business. It wasn't like you had to do anything.
And all that stuff's getting easier. All the stuff and the technological advancements and the technology and tools that we've got, it just keeps getting easier and easier and easier. And now we've got a workforce of people who have traditionally worked in offices, and these people are all now working from home. So there's also this incredible resource pool of talent if we ever need to hire someone as well, who can just slot right in. So it's really exciting.
It is.
I'm conscious of the time here. I'm keen to find out a little bit about what your typical day looks like now that you've built a business which does 6 figures a month, and you've been through the cycle of ironing out. What's your day look like?
Well, we will spend a portion of our day on growth. I work 4 days a week. We work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, so that we can set everything up for the weekend, make sure that we're competitive with everything. We start work about 7:30, and I'm typically done before noon. So it's a semi-retired lifestyle where I'm working 15, 16 hours a week, and we still have enough time to, like I said, we're launching a white label product. It's en route right now, and we've had enough time to research that and get that going. So it's a really nice balance where I can spend a lot of time with family and do a lot of the things that I want to do. I want to go to the gym. I go to the gym, and you can little things, even like going to the grocery store on Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning instead of when everyone else is there, and just you do kind of get spoiled with being able to have that type of freedom, which is what I was looking for.
That's awesome, man. Well, this has been incredible just hearing your story, and congratulations to you and your brother. I mean, like I said earlier, this has not been like you guys got lucky. You guys kept trying things until you found something that worked, and you've just taken the bull by the horns and really built something amazing. And I know that over the next 12 months, you're going to be doing some really interesting things as well with your Amazon white label brand, a bit of diversification there. So I'd love to get you back on in the future and talk about that, and talk about the different growth strategies that you're doing, and also dive deeper into some of the tactics with Amazon Wholesale, and share more about that. So Scott, thank you once again for just taking some time here today and being so generous with your story.
All right. Thanks, Aiden. Great talking to you.
All right, guys, that's a wrap for this episode. As always, you can see show notes and everything else over at thegrowthbooth.com, episode number 80. I'll see you on the next episode of The Growth Booth. Bye for now.